In today's video, we're going to be testing out the 77 grain Sierra Tipped Match King with some 8208 XBR through the 223 Ackley Improved. So if any of you get on the Rock Slide forum, there is a very long thread over a couple of years right here on this combo, which could be considered the Rock Slide special, if you will. Guys talking about the lethality of the 77 grain Tipped Match King on game animals. So I figured, why not give this thing a try? We'll see what this thing will do. Right now on the Ackley Improved, and later down the road, I've got a pile of parts sitting over there for another 18-inch kind of a DMR SPR AR. We'll probably shoot these through that rifle too, but I've only got about half, 3/4 of the parts, so that's going to have to wait. But right now through the Ackley, we're going to be able to get an extra couple hundred feet per second out of a regular 223. Guys shoot them, or 5.56 as well, I should say. Guys have been shooting them 2,700 to 2,800 feet per second. I've pressure tested this thing already up to just about 3,000 feet per second, just a little bit over. I think that's where we're going to call it 3,000 and try to get an accuracy node somewhere in there 29 to 3,000. Hopefully it'll kind of land like what the 75 grain Hornady did. So I've already got the pressure testing done. I've run 14 rounds through this thing. So far at 24.3 is where the Sierra manual calls it. But we didn't get any signs of pressure through those cases up till about 25. So that's about where we're going to stop. I've got the first 4 charge weights starting at 24 grains even here. Before I go to work, this might be all I'm going to be able to get shot here. I'm probably not going to record all of it, just to save some time and shorten up the video a little bit. We'll kind of shoot a few and just show you the results afterwards. So first 5 shots, here we go. Right about 2,900 feet per second. Four of them are all together, and there's one outlier the very first shot. That's a hell of a start. First 5 shots. 42.2, here we go. That's those 5. SD of 8, average of 29.29. All right, last group didn't look too bad. Here's 24.4 grains. That group don't look too bad either. That's a SD of 5.1 and an average velocity of 29.55. Last group for the morning at 24.6 grains, and then I gotta head to work. Oh, the 5th one. I knew it as soon as I let it go. But that's an average of 29.81 for velocity and an SD of 7.8. Let's go down and take a look at these groups. So here are our groups so far. Very first one, very first shot. Next 4. Looking good. That one there is looking real good. That was the SD of 5.1, I believe. And then the last one, that one was me. As soon as I let the shot go and relaxed the gun, I realized I was gripping the hell out of it right there. That first 4 rounds was money. I had to screw it up with that one, but that is showing a whole bunch of promise right there. All right, another day, another dollar. Got the last two loads. I got 24.8 grains right here, and we're gonna stop at 25 grains is where we're gonna go. Already shot kind of 4 warm-up shots out of 4 of the cases that weren't really any good. Had a couple of dents in them, so I didn't want to risk them. But here we go, 24.8. So that shot string average is looking pretty good too. 3,000 and 7.6. Let's go take a look at the group. There's that group. So I'm assuming we've got 2 or 3 in here and 1 there, and I know I pulled that one right there. That was my screw up. I was trying to beat the wind. It was starting to pick up, and I rushed that one and shot it. For this last group here at 25 grains even, I went ahead and adjusted the scope. I come up 2/10 just because they're impacting really low here as we speed this thing up. So I went ahead and adjusted it just a little bit. Try to keep it a little closer to the target. Up around 3,020 some feet per second here. Yeah, this group is opening up a little bit here. I think we've reached our upper limit. Yep, it definitely opened up wider than the others. Let's go down and take a look. Although average was 3,029 feet per second with an SD of 5.3. Last group that I just shot there. That was the very first one right there. And then the next 4. There's 2 of them right there. Those 4 don't look bad. But 2 of those cases did have slight ejector marks on them, so I think this going over 3,020 might be just a little bit too much. I'm gonna go inside, measure these, look at the chronograph results, and I think where I'm gonna try to be at is somewhere right in there. Well, it's a new day. We're back out on the range, and I decided to go with 24.5 grains. Now, these cases that I'm using here have been annealed compared to the last go-round of cases, so I'm betting these are going to end up shooting just a little bit slower. I could tell when I was seating them that they were easier going in them necks, so I'm betting we're going to have less back pressure. But we're going to go ahead and shoot a couple groups with them and see what we get for velocities out of them anyway. First group of 5, let's see what I can do here. $29.51, so that's a little bit low. The 1/10 of a grain less than this. The 24.4 averaged 29.55, so lost a little bit of back pressure, but let's see how consistent they are here. $29.49, $29.57. Kind of doing this right away here early in the morning because wind's supposed to pick up to over 20 miles an hour today. So trying to get this done while it's pseudo calm. We probably only got about a 6 mile an hour wind right now. Starting to gust up just a little here and there. There's that 5. We got an average of 29.61, so they picked up a little bit. There was, yeah, those 2 were up in the 29.76, 29.75. Stretch our SD out there to 11.6. It was at just about 6, but them couple, there were some outliers and stretched that out. One last 5-shot group here. See if I can't make this one look a little better. Okay. Well, that dropped our SD just a little bit. Down at 10.9, adding those 5 shots, and averaged 29.60. Take a look at our 15-shot total. Got a few highs and a few lows in there. Let's take a look at these groups I just shot. They're not bad, but they're not great either. Not nearly as good as what they were before. There's the first one. That one on the left was my very first shot. The next 4 did pretty good. That one there, that opened up to about 3/4. That one there is probably about the same, about 3/4. Goes to show that the first set of cases there, when we were doing the initial loading with that higher neck tension, actually did better than here after I annealed them and they're softer. That opened up my SDs a little bit. Also opened up our groups a little bit, so a little more neck tension. So I just went down to the reloading room, just took 10 of these cases, reloaded them up again. Now they'd be on the same firing like what the last cases in the first part of the test were. So let's see what happens now. We get a little closer to the same results that we did before. Had kind of an odd group going here. Shot that one in the line. But that was an average of 29.69 with an SD of 6.8. So the SD has definitely come down. All right, let's shoot these next 5 here. Wind's starting to slowly pick up on me. That last group was in a diagonal line. Kind of an odd group. Hopefully we can do better than that. There, that's a little better group. Let's go down and take a look. Well, average was 29.67, and this time SD was 6.3 on those 10 shots. So it definitely came down a little bit with that better neck tension. And yeah, average rose just a little bit too. So let's take a look at this last set of 10. That is definitely doing a little bit better. But this wind's picking up on us here, so I think accuracy testing for today is going to have to be done here in a minute. Taking a look at these 2 groups, here's my first one. I shot a perfect line on there. Kind of odd, but still probably in that 0.6 to 0.7. The second group, now that one's a lot better. That's like what we were experiencing that first time around. That's a little closer to 0.5, so I'm going to take that all day. But it definitely goes to show that difference in neck tension goes a long ways. Well, I think for this load development, we've definitely shown that this combo with this rifle, this projectile, and the XBR 8208, that it is capable of half MOA and even sub half MOA 5-shot groups, and we haven't even done any seeding depth with it. We just kind of put it at 5 to 10 thousandths off the lands and just let it run, and it's done well. Gotten single digit SDs, but I've got some more rounds right here. I mean, this is the rock slide special, and half of the debate on this projectile was, you know, the lethality of this 77 Match King on here. Guys have been shooting antelope, whitetail, mule deer. I think one guy even took an elk with one of these. So, I mean, let's go ahead and test these things. We'll shoot them into some gel blocks, see what type of performance we get out of them. So, you're gonna double up on these gel blocks here. Come on out, there we go. There's one. Next corner. There's two. Let's see if we got everything lined up right. Hopefully, with 2 gel blocks and 2 water jugs, hopefully we'll get that projectile stopped in there. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. Flip that right up on end. It did not make it into the second block. A projectile is right there. Flip this down. That definitely had a pretty wide expansion in there. I would say that's got to be at least 4 inches. Opened up almost immediately. Definitely, you can see some spots down in there. I mean, it lost some chunks of stuff. Let's see if looking at it this way, we can see it any better. Not really. These blocks have been shot a couple of times here. But that definitely did open up. Since I went to all the work to fill up these water jugs here, we might just well blow them up too. One sitting beside it, I actually blew out without even getting hit. And that's what's left of that one. Not capturing any bullets in that. A few lead fragments laying here on the table, but that grenaded nicely. Let's dig these out of here. This one almost made it out. There's that one. There's that one. So there is the first one. really flattened out and widened out there. Get a measurement on those in a second. Second one right there. See the tip still on there. Let's get some quick measurements on these. About a 0.565. About a 405. About a 0.5. 0.523. So good expansion. Weight 30.05 and 26.2. So definitely lost some weight. So my thoughts so far on the ROK Slide Special, I'll say that I've been pretty impressed with it so far. I mean, we haven't even got to do seating depths. That'll probably be part 2 of this video on this one. Otherwise, this would just be too long. But I was thoroughly impressed that right here, even in the ladder test, I mean, every one of those groups had a single-digit SD. If I remember right, it was between, what was it, 5.1 feet per second, and I think the highest was 8.7. It wasn't until when we shot the cases here on the final load for those 3 groups right there, they did open up a little bit, but that one, I think it was 10.6 was what the SDs were. And I mean, it's still sub-MOA, but with those cases just being annealed, I could tell when I was seating them that they were going in real easy. So I think that this case or this load is definitely showing that a little more back pressure, you know, a little more neck tension is definitely what it prefers. So if a guy, you know, went ahead, loaded up some rounds, let them sit for a while, they kind of bomb themselves in there, build that back pressure, it might be a little bit better. Once I used the 3rd time fired cases, then we jumped up to those, kind of had that one really weird group right there, still measured 0.681, and then the other one at 0.441. So, I mean, I kind of pulled it together there in the end. It's definitely doing well. I mean, we might be able to shrink that up a little bit with seating depth. We just went, you know, 5/10 thousandths off the lens and started doing this. Seating depth is normally what I do last. I'll find a powder charge and then mess with seating depth, but this is doing pretty good. As far as the bullet performance, in the ballistic gel, I really figured it would go further in. I mean, granted, those blocks have probably been shot, I don't quite remember, 4 or 5 times so far, so they might be getting a little bit thicker, a little denser, but I kind of expected it to at least get into that second block. But it did lose a lot of lead along the way. I mean, they only retained about a 1/3 of the original weight of it. Expansion on both projectiles really was pretty good. I mean, they more than doubled the width of the projectile. So I could see where, you know, once breaking through a rib cage on an animal and getting into that soft lung tissue on the inside of a chest cavity, I mean, they would really wreak havoc, the fact that they opened up that far. I've only got about 60 of these things left, so it's not really enough to be able to do a seating depth test right now and take it down to the longer range there and stretch it out to about 850. So those 2 things will have to wait until a future video that'll be coming up. But hopefully I can find some more of them because they've been a little tough to get a hold of. I hope you liked today's video. Please like, share, and subscribe, and hopefully we'll catch you on the next one.